Hi, and welcome to Managing Mental Health, or MMH for short. I'm Renee. We're here to provide tools and information to help you cope with the day-to-day struggles so many of us face as caregivers. Our team of licensed caregivers provides new videos weekly. Occasionally we get to do more than just once a week, but we provide videos that are focusing on age-related illnesses such as Alzheimer's and dementia, mental illness and mental disorders, as well as traumatic brain injury, known as a TBI. That typically results in some type of permanent brain damage. We're going to address several of the questions that we got online last week. Before we jump in and start that, please do remember that we're not doctors nor clinicians. So always check with your doctor to make sure the tips that we're giving are right for the person for whom you're caring. Each of the caregivers on our team, including myself, have decades of experience caregiving. I provided care for my mother who had Alzheimer's until she passed. I also provided care for many years for my oldest sister who's severely mentally ill, and then also for my middle sister who still lives with me and has brain damage from an accident she was in, oh goodness, almost 40 years ago. It's a long time. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in and look at some of our questions that we received on the website last week. And the first one comes from Elaine in Fallbrook. It says, my husband was in a construction accident and has brain damage. He confabulates all of the time. Do you know how long this will go on? Truthfully, Elaine, this is probably going to never go away. My sister suffers from severe or chronic confabulation. And I think one of the most important things for everybody to understand is confabulation sounds like somebody is fibbing. It sounds like they're telling lies, which is not the case at all. Technically, the definition, and I apologize, I don't remember where I read this, but the technical definition of confabulation is the weaving together of multiple real memories to create a new and false memory. So my sister might see a man in a red shirt. Then she might see on the news there was somebody fell downstairs. Then she might see a movie where the train ran off the tracks. It could be a day later, a month later, a week later. Who knows how long those types of memories that she's collected since her accident will last. And somebody will say, oh gosh, Yolanda, what happened to you? And she'll say, well, the man in the red shirt shoved me down the stairs and I fell on the train tracks and they ran over me. So each of those three things was actually true and correct in the context in which she saw them, whether it was on television or somebody walking down the street. So confabulation can be a really dangerous thing, because when people believe them, if the party confabulating says, oh, in this case, my wife starves me, or she beats me, or she locks me in the closet, and I'm sure none of that's true, but my goodness, before landlines kind of went away, my sister would get a hold of the telephone after her accident, which was roughly 40 years ago. She's in an airplane crash. And she would call the police and tell them just those things. My parents are starving me, and they're beating me, and they're locking me in the closet. Well, none of that was true. And so I'm sure the things that your husband is saying in most cases aren't going to be true. The severity of the brain damage really dictates how long the confabulation goes on. And what I have found over the years is if we just let my sister roll, if she starts confabulating about something, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and her story becomes more grand and untruthful. So I personally feel that it's prudent to say, it sounds like your confabulation is talking. And this has been so long for us because it's been 40 years now. And so we have nicknamed confabulation Connie. And no disrespect to any of you guys out there named Connie. We love you all. But when my sister Yolanda starts confabulating, if it's minor, I just ignore it and let it go. But if it gets really intense, I'll say, oh, sounds like Connie's talking. And then that's her cue, because I've done it for enough years, decades, that she knows when I say Connie's talking that she needs to kind of pull it back and give a little more thought to what she's thinking. Again, do be cautious. If confabulation is very negative about their caregiver and it's believed, that can be a very, very difficult thing. So hang in there, and I'm so sorry that he confabulates like this. He probably always will. It just depends on the severity of the brain damage. Ask the neurologist and see if he can tell you anything about, is there any therapy uh, that he might be able to go through. Now, lastly on this topic, for my sister, uh, her brain damage is such that she has absolutely no short-term memory whatsoever. So if she's walking across the hallway, she probably will forget why she is walking across the hallway. She won't remember which room she's headed towards. She won't remember why she's going into another room unless she has to go potty or something. So because she has no short-term memory, which may be the case with your husband, I certainly hope it's not, but if that is the case, you may find that therapy doesn't really work because she's not going to remember the therapy. So all I can say is try to be patient and discuss it with him. If he still has if he still has most of his faculties, you can say, honey, this is the definition of confabulation. This is what you're doing, and I really want to help you try not to do that. So let's come up with a way together to help manage that. And maybe if you take it from that approach, that might work out for you guys. Okay, Ellen has a second question, and that is, let's see. Since my husband's accident, he obsesses over water, and I can't get him to stop drinking. That is such a tough one. My sister also obsesses over water, and the problem is you can actually drink too much water. So I would say the best thing for you is to try to restrict his water. Anyone who has brain damage, and again, this is just my opinion, they should not be allowed to go in the kitchen by themselves because that could be dangerous. And one of our first jobs is to protect the people we're taking care of. So I rope off the kitchen. My sister's not allowed to go in the kitchen. At this point, she's not allowed to ever go in the kitchen because she'll forget she went in there because I was in there, and then the next day she'll kind of maybe have a memory that she was in there, so then she'll try to go in there again. So I think it's best to maybe rope off your kitchen and just, have him sit in the adjacent room where he can see you and talk to you and that kind of thing. Also, I would restrict his access to water in any way you can. Like, don't leave a water glass in the bathroom. If I leave a water glass in my sister's bathroom, she'll go in there, and I've listened, to see what she's doing. I don't mean to be eavesdropping on her or spying on her, but you have to figure out what they're doing. And she'll go in the bathroom, and she will just drink glass after glass after glass of water. And, these are like probably 10, 12 ounce glasses, and I always give her plastic, so in case she drops it, because she has quite a bit of spasticity. If your husband does as well, then I would suggest that you always make sure he drinks out of plastic cups and so forth. So this is probably a 10 or 12 ounce glass, and you can hear it fill at the faucet. You can actually hear her filling it, and then you hear her drinking it, and you hear her filling it, and she will fill it literally 3, 4, even 5 times in a row. And if we all do the math and say that's 10 or 12 ounces of water times 5 times, that's almost as much water she needs for the whole day. So I would say don't leave a cup or glass in the bathroom. Do not give him access to the living room, to the kitchen, and always make sure that he has enough water. I have a little checklist, so I kind of keep track of how much water my sister drinks each day to make sure she gets the full amount that she needs. And lastly, you can go online and you can look up his weight and his height, and you can get statistical information on how much water somebody of his weight and height would need. Okay, so good luck with that. I hope his recovery continues and it gets easier for both of you. Alrighty, let's move on to our next question. This comes from Anonymous. It says, I'm taking care of my dad and he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and dementia. Now he's starting to get really upset every afternoon and we can't figure out what to do. Do you have any ideas? I absolutely do. The first thing you want to do is take your dad, immediately call the doctor, schedule an appointment, and tell the doctor what you've told us in your question. To me, it sounds like he's getting something called Sundowners, and it's named that because people become anything from upset to psychotic around sundown as the day wears on. Now, maybe it's because they're getting a little tired. We don't really know why sundowners occurs later in the day. But I had this happen with my mom when she was living with me. And she would go in a room and she would open and close every drawer and every cabinet. And she would do it like at 8 o'clock at night or at midnight. And so I'd get up and I'd go and I'd get her back in bed and get her tucked in and close all the drawers and cabinets up. And then she'd be up and she's doing it again. And so one night I laid in bed and I thought, well, how long is she going to do this? And she did this for about 2 hours. And the longer she did it, the harder she would slam. Like she'd slam the bathroom cabinet doors and such. And it's just open and close, open and close, open and close. And I talked to her doctor, and he said these are signs of sundowners, and he gave us a sleep aid so that she could sleep comfortably through the night. But definitely you want to go to your doctor and see what the doctor says about that. See if you can, if it's happening around bedtime or after, see if you can get some kind of sleep aid to help your loved one sleep. But I'm so sorry you guys are going through that. Oh, it can be so hard. But definitely you want to take them to the doctor first thing. Okay, our next question, do you have any idea for meal management? I feel like I'm constantly preparing meals for my handicapped sister. Huh, me too. Okay, what I do, because my sister likes to munch and I don't want to be her food police. Now, clearly, if your loved one has diabetes, if they have a weight issue, if they really have no faculties to manage their own food, then you're going to need to take them food. In our home, my sister has her own living quarters. So she has her little sitting room and she has her own private bathroom and her own closet, her own bedroom, all that. And I put a mini fridge in there. And I stock her mini, and I had to put a note on the outside of the refrigerator door because she forgets it's there. And so I'll stock it with nutritious foods that I know she'll enjoy, and she can get her snacks out of the fridge. I do not put beverages in there. I'll take her a glass of water 4 or 5 or 6 times a day, depending. She always gets a nice big glass of water when she's having a meal. Now I home office, so we're in my home office right now, and I can hear her. She's just an earshot down the hallway. And so because I do have to manage her water, then I'll take her water with each meal, or I'll take her a beverage when she has snack. But I put a little basket of healthy snacks, low sugar, no sugar, however little sugar you can get's best. And there will be fruit and granola bars, maybe some bags of popcorn, things that I know she likes to munch on in between her meals. My sister's kryptonite is potato chips, so I have to be cautious about that. And I used to buy, the great big party-sized bags of potato chips, and I put the whole bag in her room so she could snack on that if she wanted to. And what I found is she would eat the entire bag in one day. Again, it's her kryptonite, right? So then I would just put serving-sized portions into baggies and give her a baggie of potato chips a day because I know how much she enjoys it. But again, our job as a caregiver of a loved one is to keep them safe and to protect them, even when sometimes that means you're protecting them from themselves and their own, perhaps, less than healthy decisions on things like potato chips. So again, give them a little mini fridge, put a note on the outside of the fridge, snacks in here, maybe put some some snacks on a cabinet in her seating area or something, or it is your sister, in her seating area. So she still has independence, and this is one of the reasons that I put the snacks out in my sister's room. And they're actually in her sitting area. So she's got her bedroom and a sitting area separate from that. And she can make a decision. Does she want a snack? She can go get the snack. She uses a walker. She can't go anywhere without a walker. And with a walker, she's extremely slow. But nonetheless, I want her to have some sense of independence. And so I do that. I'd say get your sister a mini fridge, put some snacks out, unless she has a very restricted diet, in which case, then you need to oversee what she's eating a little bit more. But try the snacks, make sure they're healthy. And when you leave, if she has a caregiver come in, just explain to the caregiver what you guys are doing with that. Okay? I hope that helps. All right, let's see. Oh, my mom has dementia. And I'm sorry, this person has not given me their name. They're somewhere in San Diego. This person says that her mother has, I'm assuming it's a female, it's usually caregivers are girls, not always, but usually. Uh, my mom has dementia and doesn't want to shower. That's really, really common. I'm going to guess, I'm just guessing that she has Alzheimer's. And pardon me, pardon my little dog in the background. My sister's napping, so I'm going to bring my dog in my office. This is a little bit of a sidebar for you guys. Pets can be a wonderful thing for a person I can't talk today, with special needs. So if you have a little pet and your loved one really loves animals, let that pet in the room with them. Just keep an eye on it, make sure it works well for them, and excuse the noise my little dog is making in my office today. So, okay, in regard to the showers, I have read that people who have Alzheimer's develop an aversion to water. They don't want to shower, they don't want to get in the shower, they're afraid of the water. For whatever reason, showering is something they don't want to do. So okay, my little dog's going to introduce herself today. This is Lacey. Uh, so what I did for my sister is I put a big calendar on her wall. And get down, get down. I put a big calendar on my sister's wall. It has, pretty picture on the top. And then every day I'll circle the date, and I can put a note on there and say, Lonnie, look at your calendar, so on and so forth. And what I've started doing is I'll circle the day that she showers, and I'll write shower. I literally have to make her take a shower twice a week. Every day is almost impossible. And the worse the dementia gets, and please remember, dementia is a consequence of an illness or an accident. So my sister got dementia decades ago, 40 years ago, at the point of her accident, but now with age she has dementia. Haven't had her tested for Alzheimer's yet, but typically if somebody has dementia, they probably have Alzheimer's as well. Not always, though. So people with Alzheimer's do have an aversion to water. Hang a calendar on your wall, make it a real pretty calendar, and, just write shower. Nice big letters so that they can see when they showered. Just like this morning, I walked in and I circled what the day was. I said, today is such and such. And I said, you can see it's been 4 days since you showered, Yolanda, and you need to shower right after breakfast. Now, I still had to go in and remind her 5 or 6 times to shower. Years ago, I got a shower chair because she doesn't have a lot of physical stability. She, back then, was using 2 canes, and then the canes progressed to a walker and then to a rollator. For those of you that aren't familiar, that's a walker that has wheels on it, basically. It's called a rollator. And now she is, if we leave the house, she's wheelchair bound. So her mobility is quite poor at this point. So when she does take a shower, she would get really mad at me when I would try to, but I'm her little sister, I can't blame her. So she'd get upset when I'd go in there. And so I'd say, well, get undressed, wrap a towel around yourself, and then I would help her get into the shower to make sure she doesn't fall and so forth, and make sure the water gets adjusted properly. So if your loved one can get themselves in the shower, you or their caregiver will need to stand by the door to make sure they actually take a shower. Now, I got a shower chair for her because I really thought, well, this will help her. It'll make her a little bit more comfortable in the shower. And I got her a shower chair. But subsequently, she didn't think to wash her private parts because she was seated, and standing without any assistance in the shower was very, very difficult for her, but she didn't want me in there with her. So my family and I, took a walker, the kind that fold, and then they unfold and they have the tennis balls on the feet. I folded one side in, so now it's an L-shaped walker, and I tied it closed, and I wedged it into the shower so she stands somewhat against that walker, and it's a very snug shower, so it's a snug fit. And she can stand against her walker. It gives her enough assistance on her balance that it helps her shower successfully. Plus she's standing, so we're sure that she can get herself clean thoroughly. The last thing you want to do is go in and physically bathe your loved one unless they just simply cannot do it themselves. If that's the case, I would encourage you to get a caregiver who can come in and possibly help you a little bit with that. Now, for me, to put my sister in a home would cost between $50,000 and $60,000+ a year. So because I do home office, I feel it's much more prudent to have my sister living with me, and I can put those monies toward a caregiver. And so she's never in the home alone if I'm out on a work appointment, because I still do have my business consulting practice in addition to managing mental health. Um, and so you will want to take some of the money that you would have put toward a home, if that is your choice to keep your loved one home, and pay a caregiver to come in and help them shower. I think it gives them a little more dignity when they have somebody who's not their family helping them with personal care and so forth. But again, try that calendar. That should help a lot. And just know that it's normal that folks with Alzheimer's frequently don't want to shower. I experienced the same thing with my mom. She became really, really frightened of the shower. She was frightened of the water, and I just did not understand that. So for my sister, I just have a regular shower head. I tried the hose where she could take it off, but then she gets confused and water's all over the bathroom, and that's kind of a mess. So you don't want to do that. I am personally not crazy about the shower chair if they can stand on their own. In my mom's situation, she could not stand on her own. So she had to have a shower chair, and she was very offended. She was really mad at me when I hired a caregiver to help her bathe. And I thought, but Mother, somebody needs to help you with this. And she, in a very demanding way, said, well, you can help me, young lady. You're my daughter, and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, okay, that's fine. I can deal with this. And so I would just, try to give her support and divert my eyes as much as possible so she could have some privacy, not looking directly at her the whole time. I would just glance at her to see where I needed to help her, hold her, give her support. And I'd say, I'm looking away and she's over here, right? And I'd say, Mother, did you wash under your both arms good? And Mother, did you wash this? Did you wash that? Blah, blah. And it would just give her enough encouragement and support, but I'm still giving her some degree of privacy while she's in the shower. So your loved one may prefer that you are the one that's helping them. If they are if it's your spouse, it's totally different. But if it's, like if it had been my dad, I never would have done that with my dad. I think that would have made him very uncomfortable. I think it would have been inappropriate, and I would hire a male caregiver to help my father with his hygiene needs. So again, talk to your loved one, see how they feel about it. If they're more comfortable with you, then I'm going to suggest that you help them shower. And again, you can very, very carefully, and I can't stress how careful you have to be. If you do use a walker in the shower, their first instinct is to move that walker because they're used to walking with it. So you have to tie it partially closed, maybe right. You guys are going to laugh at me. I use lip liner because it washes off. And I write notes on the shower door, open from this side, and I write a note on the wall, because again, I can wash it off, it's just lip liner, and it'll say, do not move walker. And I have notes all over the walker. Do not move, do not move, do not move. It's written on the shower door, again, with something that you can easily just wipe off. If you don't have anything that you can wipe off, get those clear plastic sheets that you use in business binders frequently. Or I'm sure you've seen them in a business binder. They're the size of, they're like a 8.5 by 11, and you can write, do not move. And then just put a piece of tape and tape it on the shower wall. I'd say use plastic because that way the water's not going to hurt it and it can stay there. Your loved ones can see the note. Okay, that's about all the time we have for today. I hope that was helpful. If you would like to submit a question, just go to, Lacey, come here. The dog's going to submit a question for us now. If you'd like to submit a question, just go to www.managingmentalhealth.com, click Submit Question, and follow that link. While you're on the website, do become a member or a sponsoring member. A membership provides access to Let's Talk, Meet Me at the Kitchen Table, and Co-op Care. Now, those are both based on proprietary software that we've developed that match people up. They match families up, somebody that you can talk to, somebody that you can befriend. They're in the same exact situation you're in. And Co-op Care, you can talk to them on the phone, text them, whatever works for you guys. And Co-op Care is a service where you can, if you're comfortable, trade caregiving services with someone that we've matched you with. Okay, so I hope this has helped you guys. And if it has, please click like and subscribe below. Um, and until next time, continue living, loving, and caring. And we won't have the dog in the office next week. All right. I just think you guys are all wonderful and you're fabulous. You're doing an awesome job and you have big hearts and you hang in there. You're doing good work. Bye-bye for now.